Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 13.17. The chapter which we are related with is Leverage and Capital Structure Managerial Finance book by Lawrence and Gitman, question number 13.17. As usual, we are focused upon leverage, different types of leverage we have discussed. Leverage of operations, that means degree of operating leverage, degree of financial leverage, degree of total leverage we have calculated, and different ways we have used them. This question is also very interesting and comparative study is involved in it, where a single firm is changing its number of unit at different stages, with which we can use these three leverages to predict and calculate. Alright guys, so basically let's start our understanding. This is your incorporation makes a patented marine bulkhead leech, the product that wholesales for Rs 6 per dollar, $6 per unit. This is per unit sale price. Each latch has variable cost, fixed cost. The firm pays interest, preferred dividend, number of unit 30,000, rate of tax 40%. So everything you are very familiar with. So let's start our working of requirements. Before starting its working, we need to complete our income statement. So here we are going to construct an income statement. A complete and comprehensive income statement would be made so that each and every information can be available on single spot. Here you will write your units and then per unit, and finally you will post your amount over here. So amount would be calculated by multiplying units and per unit. Since we are making complete income statement, so before EBIT and after EBIT, both statements are needed. So let's start with sales. You will subtract your variable cost, will get your contribution margin. Then you will subtract your fixed cost, with which you can get your net margin, and it is also called earning before interest and tax. Then we will subtract interest, after which we will subtract our tax, and further preferred dividend would be subtracted if it is present in your question, and finally we will have our net earning. This would be earning after interest and after tax. When you will subtract interest, you will get your earning after interest but before tax. So our statement, it would be completed in this way. So let's get back to the question. Very first thing which you are going to take is number of unit. 30,000 is mentioned over here. Write down 30,000 number of units. As usual, you have a very comprehensive view of number of unit. That would always be similar for variable cost and contribution margin. Right now 30,000 are number of units sold, so same number would be used for variable cost and same number would be used for your contribution margin. At this stage our number of unit have been completed, and now let's see how much is per unit cost of sales. Look over here, makes ledge wholesale. This is the price at which these products are being sold, 6 per dollar. So write down 6 per dollar. The per unit sale price and 3.5 is mentioned as variable cost. So let's put 3.5 over here. We can now calculate our contribution margin per unit, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Over here per unit is mentioned. So obviously when you will subtract, you will get per unit contribution margin by subtracting per unit variable cost from per unit sales. Sales here is 6 and you will subtract per unit variable cost, which is 3.5. So guys, in this way we have calculated our contribution margin per unit. Next is to calculate the amount, which is product of units and per unit. Units here are 30,000 and you will multiply per unit sale price, which is 6. And next target is to calculate your variable cost, which is product of units and per unit. Units here are 30,000 and you will multiply per unit 3.5. So we have got our variable cost. Now you can calculate your contribution margin. There are two ways. Simple is this, just multiply units and per unit. Units of contribution 30,000, per unit contribution margin 2.5. So we have got contribution margin. And second way, since contribution margin can be calculated by subtracting variable cost from sales. Amount of sale was 1,80,000 and you will subtract your variable cost, which was 1,05,000. So in this way a contribution margin can also be calculated. It was just an optional way. You can use this by subtracting variable cost from sale, or you can simply multiply units into per unit. Both ways are okay. One additional method is unnecessary to be written over here. Let's raise it. It was just for your understanding. Now we need fixed cost and read out over here. Fixed operating cost is 50,000. Fixed cost 50,000 and we need to put over here. When you have posted your fixed cost, you are open to calculate your earning before interest and tax, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Your contribution margin 75,000 and you will subtract your fixed cost, which is 50,000, and thus you have got your earning before interest and tax 25,000. Alright, so what we need next is amount of interest. Look, the firm pays 13,000 interest. Let's put 13,000 over here. Now we can calculate earning before interest, earning after interest, for which what we will do, we will simply subtract interest from previous earning. 25,000 was your previous earning, amount of interest 13,000. In this way, after interest earning has been calculated, which is 12,000. Over here you will calculate your tax, and how you need to have earning before tax and simply take 40%, which is given in your question. This way you can calculate your amount of tax. Just come over here. Your previous earning or earning before tax was 12,000, and what you will do, you will take 40%. Amount of tax has been calculated. So you are very open to calculate your earning after tax, which is actually the difference between tax and previous earning. 12,000 is your previous earning, amount of tax is 4,800. So in this way you have got your earning after tax. Now let's get back and see how much preferred dividend is 7,000. So just put 7,000 over here, which is your preferred dividend. After posting it, we are open to calculate our net earning or final earning, which is actually difference of preferred dividend and earning after tax. 7,200 is earning after tax, and just subtract preferred dividend. So we have got 200, which is net earning, and it also can be called as earning available for shareholders. Net earning or earning available for shareholder, one of the same thing. So our income statement has been completed. It would be very easy for us to calculate anything which is required in the question. Let's see what is first requirement. Calculate operating break even point. So we are at A point and we need to calculate operating break even point, and for this we need to have fixed cost, and that would be divided by CM per unit. In this way you can calculate your break even point. Just come back to the question. Fixed cost is already mentioned in your question. Fixed cost 50,000. It is already available. And how do we calculate CM per unit? You should have in your mind. CM means contribution margin per unit, and this would be calculated by taking sales per unit, and you will subtract variable cost per unit. And you can see that this has already been calculated. What I had said, if you have this statement, even it is required or not required, you will have everything in a very calculated form or disciplined form. Whatever you need would already be present in your statement. Look over here, you have two types of contribution margin, per unit and total. When you will subtract your per unit variable cost, look over here, per unit variable cost, when it would be subtracted from sales per unit, you will get contribution margin per unit. So both are already available. Fixed cost is also present over here, and that is 50,000, and you need to divide it CM per unit, and that is 2.5. So in this way your statement is completed, and now you can calculate it. Simply what you will do, your fixed cost, and that would be divided by CM per unit. So you have got your first answer, and that is break even point. Look over here, 20k means 20,000 is your first answer, and we have also calculated 20,000. So first answer is completed. We have marked it as it has been completed. Second is your, on the basis of firm's current sales 30,000 units per year and its interest, preferred dividend, cost, calculate EBIT and earning available for common shareholders. Okay, so can you imagine that this has already been calculated? This is your EBIT. Let's highlight it. It's EBIT. We are highlighting it so that it can be prominent. EBIT has already been calculated, is 25,000. We will just mention over here EBIT is equal to 25,000, and this was calculated over here. Net margin or EBIT 25,000, and second requirement was to see an earning available for common shareholders. Look over here, earning available for common shareholders 200. This is also called net earning or earning available for shareholders, and that is 200. So please understand why we call it earning available for common shareholders. For this you have to understand this statement. Earning before interest and tax, that means we have earned internally through our business we have earned 25,000, but obviously there are obligations and liabilities. We have to pay amounts to outsiders as well. Interest, this would be the first preference. When you will pay your interest, you will get your income after interest, and then obligation of tax would be paid 4,800. You will not be able to neglect these payments. These are outsiders payment. Interest from whom you have taken loan, and tax would be charged by the government. So in this way, these are unavoidable expenses. You have to pay that. So we have earning 7,200, and this would be available for both common stock and for preferred stock. As it was mentioned earlier, we do have two types of earning, two types of capital structure. First is your equity finance, where we do have our common, preferred, and you have retained earning. Why it was discussed for so many times? Because understanding was very important. So there were two types of financing. Equity finance was having common shares, preferred shares, and retained earning. Just for your memory, I'm repeating it. You will have to pay dividend first to preferred shareholders. If you have uh, your profit in balance after payment to preferred shareholders, only then you will distribute that profit to common shareholders. So same we are doing over here. This amount is present after paying outside charges 7,200. So this amount can be distributed as dividend to both common and preferred stockholders. What I have said over here, to pay amount of dividend to preferred shareholder first. As you can see, preferred dividend was paid as 7,000. This remaining amount is now available for common shareholders, that is 200. And over here we have already discussed debt financing as well. And when you will take loan, or there is debt, or you have issued debentures, or you have issued bonds, these are your loans. Even before payment to dividend, before payment dividend to preferred shareholders, you are responsible to pay this liability or obligation of interest on loan. So this sequence cannot be changed. You will have to pay payments to outsider, interest and tax first, and then you can distribute the remaining part of profit among shareholders. So as you can see, interest was paid, tax was paid, this was remaining amount, and out of this remaining amount we have paid 7,000 to preferred dividend, and we have only $200 available for the common shareholders. So we do not need to perform any function over here. We have already calculated EBIT 25,000 and 200 amount available for shareholders. 25,000 and 200. Look at over here, we have our answer for B part, 25,000 and 200, which has already been solved. Now at point C, we need to calculate degree of operating leverage. Here at C point, we will calculate degree of operating leverage, and that would be calculated by dividing CM to NM, or it can also be written as contribution margin, and that would be divided by net margin, or it is also EBIT, earning before interest and tax. This is how you will calculate your degree of operating leverage. Let's unmerge it so that it can be in proper manner. So we need to have contribution margin, as it was discussed that everything is already present because we have made a comprehensive income statement. Your contribution margin was 75,000, put over here and you need to divide it with net margin or EBIT. Look over here, net margin EBIT is 25,000. So you can post 25,000 over here. Statement is completed. Let's put it on our calculator. We have got 3 as degree of operating leverage. Go back to the question. C point, degree of operating leverage, answer is 3. And we have also calculated 3. It means part C is also completed. Let's mark it as it has been done. Now point D would be looked Point D is saying to calculate degree of financial leverage. So let's calculate degree of financial leverage. For this, what we need is EBIT, and that would be divided by again EBIT would subtract amount of interest and would subtract preferred dividend if it is present in your question, but after dividing it with 1 minus tax rate. With this you will complete your degree of financial leverage. Formula is completed. Now let's start putting the amounts. We need EBIT. Earning before interest and tax 25,000. Put over here 25,000, and then we need to divide by EBIT again 25,000. We need to subtract amount of interest. Go back and see, here is amount of interest 13,000. Put 13,000 as amount of interest, and then we need to have preferred dividend, which is present over here 7,000. So put 7,000, but divide it with 1 minus tax rate was 40%. And over here you are needed to understand how to put brackets as well. Without putting bracket, you will not be able to calculate its answer at single stage. Otherwise, you will have to calculate several steps. So our statement has been completed. We are now putting it on our calculator. 25,000 divided by bracket start again 25,000, subtract amount of interest 13,000, subtract amount of preferred dividend, which is 7,000, but divide it with 1 minus 40% means 40 divided by 100, which means 0.4. So in this way your statement would be completed. Let me check the brackets. 3 opening and there should be 3 closing. So I'm very hopeful that brackets are according to requirements. So we have calculated our degree of financial leverage, which is 75. Let's check the answer first. So here D point and answer is 75 degree of financial leverage. It means answer has been checked, matched. So let's mark it as it has been completed. Over here I am just requesting you to please note it down how to put this statement on your calculator. Otherwise, what I have said, it would be very difficult for you to calculate this statement, because you will be wasting your time for 3 to 4 steps. Instead of that, open your calculator, write down this statement first and see if you can calculate this answer 75. If by putting these amounts you can get your answer, so within a single step this statement would be completed. So learn how to put the amounts on calculator. What I was willing to let you know that even a single bracket present over here, if you won't write, or the sign would not be at right place, calculation would not be accurate. So please, at this stage you can pause your lecture, take your scientific calculator, put brackets over here and try to calculate accordingly and learn how to calculate. It's not Excel, it's simple formulation of scientific calculator. I'm not taking any help from Excel. This you can put on your calculator as well. So we have got our amount 75. Part D has been solved, and now we will see what is said in part E. These are not arranged. Please let me arrange them. Okay. So in part E, we will see what requirement is said. Calculate firm's degree of total leverage. We are now going to calculate. So degree of total leverage is required to be calculated. Over here we will write the formula. First thing we need is contribution margin, and then you will divide it with again contribution margin will subtract fixed cost, after which you will subtract amount of interest, and then you will subtract preferred dividend, but by dividing it 1 minus tax rate. In this way you will complete your formula: contribution margin, fixed cost, interest, and preferred dividend. Let's put the amount over here. I have highlighted it. Contribution margin, let's go back to the question. We have contribution margin, that is 75,000. Put 75,000 first. Then we need to divide again by contribution margin, that is 75,000. Then we need to subtract fixed cost. Our fixed cost is mentioned over here, 50,000. Let's put 50,000, and then you will subtract your amount of interest. Interest is 13,000, and then you need to subtract your preferred dividend, and that is 7,000, but you will divide it 1 minus tax rate, which is 40%. Alright guys, so in this way you can complete your degree of total leverage. Amounts have been posted. We can now calculate. 75,000 divided by bracket start 75,000. You will subtract your fixed cost 50,000, subtract amount of interest 13,000, subtract preferred dividend 7,000, and you will divide it 1 minus 40%. 40% mean 40 divided by 100, which means 0.4. 0.4, bracket closed, and now we should check our brackets. I think 1 2, okay, let's see if it is correct. Okay, 225 is your degree of total leverage, and our E answer is also 225. Again, you are needed to note it down, where to put the bracket and how to solve it. We have got our answer 25. Please note it down, take a screenshot. In this way, calculations for degree of total leverage has been completed. Here I would like to let you know that this degree of total leverage can also be calculated by multiplying degree of operating leverage, please excuse me, leverage and degree of financial leverage would be used to calculate your degree of total leverage. So simply both leverages would be multiplied and you will get your answer. Degree of operating leverage was calculated over here, which was 3, and you need to multiply degree of financial leverage. Look over here, this was 75, put over here, and this way you can calculate your degree of total leverage as well, 225. Look, 225, 225. This is exact and original formula, and practice it. This would be very helpful in further concepts coming in next chapters, or even in this chapter. Questions can be solved easily with this formula. We have shortcut formula as well. Note both formulas, and both formulas will be very helpful in understanding several matters. By concept, you will use only this formula. This is your conceptual formula with which your understanding of income statement would be very strong. So 225 or 225 E part is solved, and now we will see what F part is saying. F is saying Carolina Fastener has entered into a contract to produce and sell additional, please underline this part, additional 15,000 latches. Initially, they were manufacturing 30,000 units, and now 15,000 additional units are to be produced. Calculate change in EBIT. Okay, use degree of operating, financial, and total leverage to predict and calculate changes in EBIT and earning available for common stock. Check your work by simple calculations of EBIT earning available for common using basic information given. So what we are needed to predict and to calculate. With prediction, we will calculate both EBIT and amount available for common shareholders. And secondly, what we will do, we will make an income statement as well, so that we can prove with the help of these degrees there is a shortcut of calculation of net income, EBIT, or income available for shareholders. First, let's say how much change they are making. Additional 15,000 leches or units are being made. For this, we'll have to create our understanding. Old units were 30,000 and additional units now being made 15,000. Let's say see the percentage change, for which what we will do, additional units would be divided by old units, like obtained marks divided by total marks. Similarly, we will multiply it with 100. This way we can calculate percentage change. Additional units are made 15,000 and you will divide it with old unit 30,000 and we'll multiply it by 100. Statement is completed. Let's put it on our calculator. 15,000 divided by 30,000 and then you will multiply it with 100. So we have got 50% is increased value. So what does that mean? There would be an increase in 50% units. 50% increase in units. So let's get back, and what else is required in our question? We need to use degree of operating, financial, and total leverage, EBIT. And as you know, your EBIT is related to degree of operating leverage. Please note it down. It's very important because in degree of operating leverage, we use EBIT or net margin. Your previous degree of operating leverage which we have calculated is here 3. We should note it down. Degree of operating leverage is 3 and your EBIT was 25,000 and we have calculated over here 50% change which we have discussed is change in percentage was 50%. So these are two important factors which you will have in your mind. Degree of operating leverage, which was already been calculated, it was 3, and change in percentage is 50%. So simply what you will do to calculate your change in EBIT would equal to degree of operating leverage and it would be multiplied by percentage change in units. So how simple is this? Without making a new income statement, you can calculate your change in EBIT, or total EBIT would also be been calculated. So degree of operating leverage is 3 and then you will multiply it with percentage change, that was 50%. Finally you can calculate it. 50 multiplied by 3 is equal to 150%. So this is your actual answer, 150%. Let's check it out for F point. We have 150%, and same 150% has been calculated over here. Let's mark it as it has been completed. So what you have understood from it, simply this degree of operating leverage would be used to predict. Your degree of operating leverage was 3, change was 50%. It means total 150% would be changed in your EBIT. Old EBIT can also be mentioned over here. Old EBIT was 25,000, and this is your change in EBIT, which is 150%, and we are required to calculate changes in EBIT and actual income. Okay, old EBIT was 25,000, and what change would come? Simply you will do old EBIT, and that would be multiplied with change percentage. Your old EBIT was 25,000, and percentage which you have calculated is 150%. Just simply calculated 25,000 multiplied by 150 divided by 100. So you have got 37,500. This is basically your change in EBIT. What we have done, it was said that your change in EBIT should be 150%. So this would be changed, and since we have increased number of unit, old EBIT was 25,000, and this would be the change. What it is? Change in EBIT. Let's wrap it down. Written work is so important. Without writing, I'm not satisfied. So change in EBIT would be 37,500. So finally, new EBIT, how you will calculate it? Old EBIT, and then you will see what change in EBIT is coming. Old was 25,000, and you will add your change 37,500. Statement is completed. Now you can put it on your calculator, 37,500. So in this way you have reached to a stage where without making income statement you have calculated your new EBIT. For 30,000 number of unit, your EBIT was 25,000. When you will make your number of unit 45,000, 30,000 old, 15,000 additional, 45,000 number of unit would be made, then your new EBIT would be 62,500. So please note it down. Without making your income statement, you have predicted your new EBIT 62,500. Go back to the question, and here you can see your answer is 62,500. And what we have calculated is also 62,500, 150% and 62,500. Please understand what we have done. Without making our income statement, we have predicted that our EBIT would be 62,500, while what we have calculated was, look, EBIT was only 25,000 when you were making 30,000 units. With an additional 15,000 units, when you will make, your EBIT would be increased from 25,000 to 62,500. So in next step, we will do the same as we have done over here. We have written old and new. F point is not ended yet. Your old degree, so degree of total leverage was calculated over here. Let's see how much total degree of total leverage was calculated here. It was 225 here, and we are just noting it down. That was 225, and you can see that we have calculated our changes as well. We will now use degree of total leverage to predict EBIT and earning available for common shareholders. Degree of total leverage was 225, and change in units we have just calculated is 50%. Look over here, we have calculated change is 50%. It should also be marked, and it is just the main milestone where we have used it for several calculations. Change in EBIT, how did you calculate? Degree of operating leverage, percentage change. And now you will use this information for earning available for shareholders. Old income available for shareholder was, I think, 200. Let's check it out. This was your income, and old earning available was 200. This is what we are required to do. Earning available for common shareholders 200 was old. Okay, and change in 50% of units. Degree of operating leverage was 225. Now we will see change in total change. You will calculate with what? Degree of total leverage. You will use and multiply it with percentage change in units. Okay, this way you can predict for your future earning available for common shareholders. So total change you can calculate over here. Degree of operating leverage was calculated 225, and you will multiply percentage change, which was 50%. And now you will simply multiply 225 with 50. So you have got 11,250, and this is your percentage. Percentage change is 11,250. We have also mentioned over here earning available for common shareholders was 200. So new earning for common shareholders, let's save little space. You will calculate by old earning for common shareholders, old earning, and that would be multiplied by change. Change was calculated over here. So you will have to take some time for understanding, because matter is very simple. It may look complicated, but this is simplest thing. Percentage was calculated, and you have just applied that percentage change. Okay, let me check this percentage first. Answer was available 11,250. Okay, this is your last part, and 11,250% you have calculated. And now we are up to calculate our new earning for common shareholders. Look over here, we have already calculated it. Net earning available for common shareholder was 200. Now by increasing 15,000 number of units, what change would come to this earning? For that, what we are doing, old earning available for common shareholder was 200, and simply you will multiply it with percentage, that was 11,250%. So let's take the percentage 200 multiplied by 11,250 divided by 100. So this would be the change which would come 22,500. Now you will calculate, basically this is your change in earning. So change in earning for common shareholders, and now you will be calculating your new earning available for common shareholder. How you will calculate it? Old earning for common shareholder, and you will add change in earning available for common shareholder. It's not formula, it's just for you to understand what we are going to do. By writing it would be little easy for you. Later on you will see it and you will understand what we are going to do. Look over here, your old earning was 200 and this would be the change by increasing your number of units from 30,000 to 45,000. Old earning was 200, please understand. And then we need to add your change. Change was 22,500. Statement has been completed. And now you will calculate 200 plus 22,500. So total change which would come is 22,700. And here is your answer, 22,700. It has been calculated. So in this way all answers are completed. Let's mark it as it has also been completed. We need to put over here. This was your last answer which was required. And we will not stop over here. We will see and prove it. What proof we need to do, that if you will change your number of unit by 15%, by 15,000, your earning before interest and tax would increase from 25,000 to 62,500. And second thing we have discussed, our old earning available for shareholder was 200. Your new earning available for common shareholder would be 22,700. With this just single statement you have completed your question. Now we will prove it. Though it is not required, just for your understanding I am doing it. And let me try to take all this statement again. We will not take much time and easily we can solve it over here. Thankfully it has filled, and we will make now a new income statement. Manually we will see what change would come. Okay, this was your old income statement, and now after increasing 15,000 units, what change would come over here? Let's write down. We don't need it. Okay, please understand what we have decided. This should be your income available, 22,700 income available. We are writing it over here, 22,700, and EBIT was also predicted. This is your EBIT, and that should be 62,500. 62,500. Without making our income statement, we have predicted that our answer should be equal to this. Understood? This is what we have done over here. With just this single line, you have calculated percentage change. This percentage change was applied upon old units. Change was 22,500. Old amount was 200 and change was 22,500. Total earning available is 22,700, which you have mentioned over here. Right now what you are going to do, we will put our increased number of units. Old unit were 30,000 and you were supposed to add 15,000 number of unit because it was said in your question. Total number of unit would be 45,000. Please look at your question. Has entered into a contract to produce and sell additional means further 15,000. Old unit were 30,000 units. So in this way your new unit would be 45,000. Unit for sale would also be unit of variable cost and same number of unit would be put for contribution margin. Now we will calculate their amounts. Units would be multiplied with per unit. Units are 45,000. Per unit sale is 6. And then you will calculate variable cost 45,000 number of unit and you will multiply variable cost, which is 3.5. This way you will get your total variable cost. Now we will calculate our contribution margin. Units would be multiplied with per unit. Unit 45,000. Per unit contribution margin 2.5. So we have got our contribution margin. Fixed cost was mentioned in our question and that fixed cost was 50,000. So come over here, 50,000 was your fixed cost. And now we need to calculate our EBIT. This was predicted EBIT and our answer should be equal to this because we haven't made our income statement. This was predicted through percentage of degree of operating leverage. So now 112,500 subtract 50,000. So we have got the same answer. This is a remarkable way to predict EBIT without making income statement. Look, we have to put units, one unit, then we have calculated, and what we have done simply used by, this is actually answer predicted through degree of operating leverage. Predicted, answer predicted through degree of operating leverage, and this is what we have answered. Answer calculated manually. Answer predicted through through degree of operating leverage, and this is our answer we have calculated by ourselves. Alright, now we need to put amount of interest, and this was 13,000. Let's put interest 13,000, and now we can calculate after interest earning. 62,500 was previous earning, and you will subtract your amount of interest. You have got 49,500 earning after interest. Amount of interest was taken as 13,000. Next step is to calculate your tax over here. How would you calculate earning before tax? This is your earning before tax 49,500 and you will multiply it with 40, divide it with 100, you will get your tax. Keep it in mind, our answer should be equal to 22,700. Okay, now we can calculate earning after tax, for which we will simply subtract our tax from previous earning. Previous earning was 49,500 and you will subtract your tax 19,800. So we have got our earning after tax. Preferred dividend was given over here. Preferred dividend 7,000 and 7,000 is mentioned over here. Okay, so let's put 7,000 as our preferred dividend. Now we can calculate earning available for common shareholders, which would be the answer of for which you will have to subtract your preferred dividend from previous earning. Your previous earning was 29,700 and you will subtract your preferred dividend, which is 7,000. So in this way you can see that this was your answer predicted through degree of total leverage. Degree of total leverage, this was your predicted answer, and manually you have calculated the same answer. What you have learned from it? Through DOL, degree of operating leverage, you can predict your earning before interest and tax. Through degree of total leverage, you can predict your degree of your net margin or net profit as well, net earning as well. Please repeat it. With degree of operating leverage, you can predict EBIT. With degree of total leverage, you can predict your net earning or earning available for shareholders. You do not need even to make your statement. With these small formulas, degree of operating leverage and degree of total leverage, you can predict your future incomes. So in this way, we have proved it that these leverage are very helpful in calculations. What we have done, we have used this degree of operating leverage 2 to 5, with the help of which you have predicted your income available for shareholders, and this was your EBIT, and predicted percentage was 150%. So finally you have an idea of your future EBIT, 62,500. Just with these two lines you predicted your EBIT. In this way our question has been completed. We have A, B, C, D, E, F parts. For A, answer was 20,000. This is A, answer is 20,000. Then you have seen B part, 2 answer 25,200. B part 25,200, and then you have seen your C part is 3. C is 3. Then D part was 75. D is 75. Then we have E part 225. E 225 with two methods. After which we have F, two answer 150 and 62,500. Okay, first answer is 150 and second answer 62,500. 150 and 62,500. Okay, then we have second part of F, 11250. This is your F part, 112. This was the percentage. Let's mark it. It was part of our answer. And 2270. 2270. All answers are matched over here. And finally, after getting answer, we have made a manual income statement where these answers were checked and proved that our degree of operating leverage, degree of total leverage is 100% practical, and you can predict your profits even without calculations, even without making income statement. So in this way our question has been completed. All answers are matched. Solution is in front of you. Question and its solution was verified. Answers were reviewed. Everything is present in this lecture. You can see it as many times as you can. Even then I'm saying all answers are present, solution is present, but even then if you have any difficulty in any manner, any part, you can share your problem or your question or your query through messages, text, or you can directly meet to share your difficulty. I will be available to answer these questions instantly. 13.7 is ended, and we will surely be meeting soon again for the solution of any other question in future. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me as well. And a humble request, please, I'm using this word, please just repeat this question and solution for as many times as you can. This question is simple, but due to length, you will have to work hard. Please repeat this question for 3-4 times. 13.17 is ended. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully, we will see you soon. Allah Hafiz.